Hello, and welcome to the Berkshire Football Stories chat podcast with me, Rob Davies, Tom Canning,
Hello.
and Abby Ticehurst.
Hello, hello.
The original three back together again. I'm not sure when the last time we did a three this way it was, but it's been a little while, I think. Or was it the last one? I don't know. Anyway, how have you both been since we last were on the pod together?
All right.
Go on, Tom. Yeah,
all right. It's been all right. I've not been to any games, but I've kept an eye on things. I've cemented in the garden. I've done lots of cementing, so the bar area is coming along. So I'll never have to leave the house again. Very
good. The podcast studio / bar area.
Yes. when in the summer I'm sat out there podcasting from my garden. Then
yeah. Sounds great. What about you, Abby? No, you've been to a couple of games. We might be talking about soon in the since we spoke last. But how have you been in general?
Yes, good. Busy, crazy busy.
Mm-hmm.
Business end of the season. Let's get the cliches in early. So
yes, why not?
Madness at the moment everywhere. Yeah, no, we just had like a super busy weekend at the racecourse, which was great. Actually, we hosted the under-18s Bilby Gosling Bucks and Bucks final on Friday. We had non-league day on Saturday. We had women and girls day on Sunday. So I probably should have moved in for the weekend, to be honest. Yeah, no, good, thank you. How about yourself? How have you been?
Oh yeah, I've been all right. I get to a few games here and there and see a lot of different teams. So I know obviously you're mainly focused on one side, Abby, and Tom, you're mainly focused on cementing your garden. But yeah, I managed to get around a little bit and see a few teams. So yeah, I've got the broad knowledge without being specialist on any subject. So you're in safe hands, dear listener. But the first team we are going to talk about today is Bracknell Town. In a season of what seemed to be defining fixtures, they had perhaps another one on Monday night when they faced MK Dons at home in the Berks and Bucks Senior Cup, or it should have been at home, but for a late venue change, moving them to Beaconsfield as the bottom meadow pitch wasn't able to host them due to being waterlogged. Bracknell Town ended up victorious 2-1. Will progress to the final in we'll come on to the date at a later time, but yeah, we'll progress on to the final. An incredible game, not least because of the result against the side, but also because they played an hour without a goalkeeper or without a recognised goalkeeper. Ben Harris filling in between the sticks. He went into goal. Chris Grace was sent off for bringing down the final attacker, and Ben Harris went into goal with the scores at 1-1, and Bracknell came out victorious 2-1 on the night. What an incredible result, Tom!
It really is. I mean, I can say that I was there the last time Bracknell beat MK Dons. It was not quite the star-studded Robin side that you had on Monday night, but it was a side that did the job nonetheless. In that particular game, Roberto Di Matteo was in charge of the MK Dons at the time and bashed his head on the dugout, as I recall. So that was a wonderful moment for everyone. But no, yeah, it's a brilliant result. I think I described it as a roller coaster. It really must have been, because it was 1-0. And then it was 1-1 from the resultant free kick. Ben Harris has come on.
Ben Harris hadn't come on at that point.
Had he not? Oh, sorry.
No, he didn't concede the goal, so Ben Harris kept clean.
Yes, I was deliberately vague in my report of that because I couldn't quite see whether that was the case or not. But anyway, yes, it was a return for Chris Grace. It was a return for Kensley Maloney. He's back, on a just in case basis, along with a couple of dual signed Slough players. So there were some returning players. Jordan Esprit also returned, and he got the winning goal just before half time. And Bracknell also missed a penalty. And I got a bit of interesting knowledge from one of our WhatsApp groupers, WhatsApp group is Paul Jenkins. That was it. Sorry, I was just looking up the name. Who highlighted and reminded me and reminded us all that the MK Dons goalkeeper on the night was player coach David Martin, who played 5 games for West Ham United when Lucas Fabianski was injured. He played 5 games in the Premier League. His first game against Chelsea was a clean sheet. And he also appeared, I think, over 3 separate spells on the Champions League squad for Liverpool, albeit he got on the bench a few times. And finally, the bit I didn't put in my article that I wrote on this was that he is the son of West Ham legend Alvin Martin.
Oh, I see. You also played a season at Leicester as well.
Yes, I did see that, but I thought that was so inconsequential that it didn't really. He played for some other teams as well, Rob. I could list them all if you want.
He won the League One title with Leicester, so he was our goalkeeper during that League One title winning season. So yeah, I was
going to say the glory years.
Exactly. But back to Bracknell. Come on. This season keeps on going from strength to strength for Abbey. They don't seem to be able to. They not only are they now into the final of the Berks and Bucks Cup, having had a great run in the FA Trophy and the FA Cup, they're going pretty well in the league as well. Outside chance of automatic promotion, although it is, I suppose, an outside chance still. Western-super-Mare still in pole position.
Yeah, I think the theme of today's podcast is going to be games in hand.
Yes.
When we look at all of the rest of the teams, because I think that kind of they've got a game in hand over Truro, haven't they, and then 2 in over Western-super-Mare. So they're chugging along pretty nicely. I don't know. Do you think they thought they'd be doing this well at this point in the season, or in the league in general at this point? I don't know really. But yeah, a nice sort of 4-point cushion on Paul Town as well, and a free games in hand over them as well. So they're going pretty well. I can't imagine there's going to be much that will stop them from that sort of out. I think maybe I don't know. Maybe they are going to go for promotion. Who knows? But like I said, games in hand is what the theme of today's podcast is. I think.
Yeah, I think that game against Truro City, whenever it happens in the future, is probably the key one, isn't it? They've lost to them last weekend. They need to win the away game. It's one of those things, isn't it? I think maybe at the start of the season, I think possibly all of us said they might, they might, but I think they're probably sort of more mid-table. But that's not come to pass. We were wrong, or I assume we were. I'm pretty sure we suggested perhaps sort of mid-table would be, or maybe outside chance of the playoffs. But they are very much in the playoffs, and I mean, now if they lifted the title, I wouldn't say I'd be surprised.
I think you'll recall. Well, you haven't recalled on our first preview show that I predicted there'd be a title challenge in Step 3 from Bracknell. So, no, actually, I said promotion challenge. Actually, so I think I'm vindicated in that prediction. Yes. Very much so. I think when the season started, I think I was probably thinking, that might have been a bit ambitious. And I think even some of the Bracknell fans probably were saying, look, if we get a decent cup run and a mid-table finish, from what I spoke to a few of them, they seem to say, that's fine. First season at Step 3. I know they played there once before, but first season, after promotion to Step 3, finishing there would have been a decent achievement. No shame in that whatsoever. But I do know the management they're always very ambitious, and the owner as well, very ambitious. They set the target of hitting the playoffs this season. And, it seems like it's come to pass. I mean, they're 10 points clear of Swindon Supermarine, who are in just outside the playoffs. And they've got a couple of games in hand over them as well. They do have some tough fixtures to finish the season, like you've mentioned. Truro, who's still got to play. They've still got to play Swindon. And they're going to play Met Police home and away, Hayes and Yedding. Most of the teams who are chasing those playoff positions. But they look pretty nailed on for the playoffs at the bare minimum. And as we mentioned, could potentially go even one better. Although that I think that's still an outside chance, probably.
There were two major unknowns at the start of the season. You didn't know how strongly Joe Grant was going to come back from his long-term injury. He's come back and he's absolutely flown. He is fine. But you also didn't know that they were going to get the opportunity to get hold of Ben Harris.
Yeah.
and they've got they've brought in a couple of other players. They've always brought in players from kind of that performed well in clubs around them, divisions around them. So it's another step up. So maybe there's three unknowns. They've not conceded many goals. They've got a really good goal difference. I think their goal difference is second only to Western. So they've brought a team through that has a lot of those players played Combined Counties League football, or Hellenic League level football, and they've come through. So there's a bunch of unknowns, and they just keep pushing on. So there we go.
Best attack in the division, as you mentioned. So they scored 6 goals more than any other team in the division, and they played fewer games than most teams out there. So really, really strong there, and the goals spread around as well, because they don't have one striker who's sort of heading the charts. You have mentioned Joe Grant. Okay, he has been flying, but he hasn't, obviously, due to coming back from injury, hasn't played as many games as some of the other strikers in the division. So it'll be interesting, and there's a lot of interesting games to fit in now. Obviously, with this Truro game being cancelled, where's that going to fit into the schedule? And there's a bit of a congestion fixture backlog, and their final in the Bucks and Berks Cup was originally due to be played the day before the playoffs started. So the fixture against Marlow, but I believe, Abby, it's been moved now. Is that official or not?
I think so. I don't know.
Okay,
maybe.
Good.
Well, I might get fired at this point. Who knows? But as far as I know, it has been moved to a later date. Yes.
Okay, so hopefully there's no fixture congestion there with the playoffs, should Bracknell need to go through that route. But we shall wait and see. So it looks a cup final for Bracknell to look forward to perhaps cap off what could be a really impressive season, and a first season at step 3 for a little while. There were some other games in midweek, so that was Monday night's fixture, but we also had a few matches that affected promotion chances for Berkshire sides in lots of other divisions as well. Let's start with Binfield, who beat South Park 4-2 at home, just a result that saw them take up the last position in the playoffs at step 4. They're now just snuck into that 5th position, and they've got a couple of big games coming up as well to try and solidify that. But Binfield started the season like a team possessed, and then had a bit of a wobble, but now they seem to be sort of stabilising again. And how do you feel about their chances of getting into those playoffs, Tom?
It looks to me like the 5th place is the one that's up for grabs, and but that could go to anyone. There's a number of teams in there that would probably say, we want that space. I think Northwood, Marlow, and Walton are probably nailed on. Maybe if Northwood have a little wobble, but I think it's that 5th place is the one that they're all going for. And I suppose you could go down as far as you could probably go down as far as 11th. Chipstead in 11th on 44 points. Binfield have 52. It's up for grabs. A little sway. There's 8 games left. A sway in any direction. Some of those teams will start to fall by the wayside, but it's probably, realistically, it's probably Binfield, Hamworth, or Chertsey, and that's Hamworth have probably the upper hand because they have a game in hand. But at this stage of the season, you want the points on the board really, and so that's a big unknown for them. That game last night was one that I thought was like, well, that was plain sailing, 3-0.
Yeah,
Connor and George, Connor Lynch. Connor Holland and George. I want to say, is it Wisner? It's a name I wasn't familiar with. Got on the score sheet, and then suddenly it's in the space of from 75 minutes, in the space of about 8 minutes, it's 3-2, and you're going, oh dear.
Yeah.
Right, okay. And then obviously, Connor Lynch has to. I think he scored 10 goals, and he's probably only played about 5 or 6 games. He's been a signing, shall we say? I think he's been out injured for a couple of games, but they're scoring goals, and if they're doing that, then they've given themselves every chance. I wanted to have just a quick look at the Binfield fixtures coming up. They have not got it. We're saying sort of Bracknell haven't got it easy. Binfield haven't got it easy either. They do have Northwood, Marlow, Uxbridge, Chipstead, Leatherhead. Those are all sides that are they're all good sides. They've not got an easy run in there. So whatever they can do to get over that line, I think they'll. If they hit that playoff spot, they will have thoroughly deserved it.
Yeah,
because that is tight.
Absolutely, yeah. 5 games of the season left for them, and the cliches keep. As Abby started with the cliche, we could say 5 cup finals, perhaps.
I was really aware saying that when we were talking about that like it basically is cliche season, isn't it?
Exactly.
I was really trying to say, well, if they win all their games, they'll probably do okay. Like, yeah, of course they will. Obviously, it's like they're in when I started working in the media. However many 15 years ago, and you'd have the standard back page headline was manager wants to win next match. It's like, yeah, of course, striker wants to score goal. Yeah, brilliant. Goalkeeper wants to keep clean sheet. Fantastic. Anyway, sorry, move on
indeed. Well, because we've got so much to talk about, I'll leave the Binfield chat there, but like we say, strong win last night against one of those sides who actually were also chasing that playoff spot, and then a few tough games to go. But there was also matches that affected the promotion picture in the combined counties Premier Division North. Ascot winning away at Chalfont St Peter, and then the 2 sides closest to them in the table, Reading City and Flackwell Heath, going head-to-head at Scowers Lane and coming away with a 1-1 draw. Not to feel too smug, though, Abby. Was that the perfect set of results that you could have hoped for that evening?
It was indeed. It was indeed. There's not much I can say about that, really, is it? Yeah. Nice low score as well. 1-1. That's good. Not that kind of goal difference is too much of an issue right now, but like the less goals to score, the better, obviously. And a draw, ideal for us. Just keeps the train ticking along very nicely for us at Ascot, indeed.
Absolutely. Ascot now 9 points clear of Reading City in second place with a game in hand. Flackwell Heath a further 4 points back, having played another game on top of the Reading City. Egham Town are also in the mix as well. They're 15 points behind Ascot, but having played the same number of games, so maybe they're coming more into contention for the second place and the playoff with the step above. But only a 1-0 against Chalfont St Peter. Get the job done. Brilliant. Big game coming up at the weekend that we're going to talk about in the second half. Nothing fancy. No injuries to report or anything like that. Everyone get through unscathed. How are the team looking going into the weekend?
As far as I know, I wasn't there last night, so I can't tell you, to be honest. I don't know. We could have reams of injuries, as far as I know. But
hopefully not.
Yeah, of course. No, I think we're looking all right as we go into the weekend. Yeah.
Very good indeed.
Rob, shall I turn host to ask you about Reading City?
Oh, you can do if you want. Yes.
You were at the game last night, and I felt like looking very much at the table. I think it's Ascot's title, and Reading have got second. I think that result last night. Reading just didn't need to lose last night.
Yeah,
that seems simple. And so, what was the feeling of the game? I know you posted a couple of things in our little group that amused me greatly. So it was a blood and thunder proper football match.
Oh, it's just a very good game, actually, between 2 decent sides. Flackwell started and finished both halves very well, and Reading probably had the middle part of both halves in a sort of weird coincidence there. But I think Reading would maybe be slightly less satisfied with the result out of the two, based on the balance of play rather than anything to do with the league positions. When Flackwell equalised, I think there was a little bit harsh on Reading. They had a few good chances, but hadn't taken them, whereas Flackwell had also had 1 or 2 as well. But Reading were probably the better side at the point of Flackwell's equaliser going in the second half. But it was fairly even from that point, and Flackwell coming away from home and getting a point at the team second in the division is nothing to be sniffed at. Lots of familiar faces in the Flackwell side, obviously, as you'd expect. Mark Nisbet captaining them. from centre back, and then a couple of familiar faces such as Alan Ackerman, who Hollingport fans will remember, and Fabian Driffel as well came on in the second half. Aidan Higgs as well from Ascot, who was playing with them a couple of seasons ago, or last season maybe. But yeah, Reading also looked very good. I thought Phil Veal at the back was pretty immense, really, helping them, dealing with pretty much everything that came their way. And they look dangerous going forward as well. Real sort of competitive game, and two decent sides for the level. The pitch was a little bit heavy, but they dealt with the conditions well, and I thought it was a really enjoyable game. 1-1, and yeah, a very decent night out for me.
Excellent. And obviously, at the bottom of the table, at the other end, things changed a little bit without Windsor kicking a ball. Windsor have dropped to bottom. Oxy Jets won their sixth game of the season. It's not looking good, is it?
No, the bottom two there going down, and Wokingham will also be looking over their shoulders. Oxy got 2 games in hand, or Oxy and Windsor, both with 2 games in hand over Wokingham. Windsor on 21 points, Oxy on 22, and Wokingham on 23. So those 3 teams really in the mix for the those places. Oxy have had a big turnaround. I don't know much about what's happened there, but they looked dead and buried a few months ago, and now seem to be progressing up the table. I'm planning on going to see them against Wallingford on Tuesday, so that I should be able to give a bit more insight at that point. But yeah, Windsor really been struggling for results for a long time now, and bottom of the table. Can you see them getting off there and getting away from that at any point? They need something to turn their fortunes around, because at the moment they're just drifting into step 6.
It's the bit where, like we were talking about, games in hand, at the top of the table being quite a useful thing. I don't think games in hand at the bottom of the table really help, because there's always the assumption with games in hand that you'll win them, and at the other end of the table, games in hand, who knows? Like, both Oxy and Windsor have won 12 games between them all season. I know Mick Woodham. He's a good guy. He knows how to get football teams to play, and he knows how to get players, and he knows how to get players going on minimal budgets. But it's not worked out at the moment, has it?
No, not at all. I mean, I would say for Oxley, they've won their last 2 games, and their form from the turn of the year has been much better than their form before that. I think at least 4, if not maybe 5, of those wins have come since Christmas. So, they've certainly turned a corner, and so perhaps the games in hand are a bit more important to them than Windsor and Wokingham for their points tally. I'd be worried if I was a supporter of either of those Berkshire sides at the moment. How Oxy have progressed over the recent weeks.
It's a strange one, because having followed a team that was relegated from the Combined Counties League from the Step 5 to Step 6 a few years ago, it strikes you as being the worst thing in the world, as been. But the reality was, actually, it wasn't good, but it was all right. It gave the team a chance to reset. It gave the club a chance to reset, and it allowed some mistakes to be made. It allowed a different players to come in, players who perhaps a different type of player, less kind of press. Although there's a pressure to go straight back up, there was almost just a little bit of less pressure, because people weren't, the eyes weren't on you as much. And so it wasn't the end of the world. But having said that, knowing some of the Windsor fans, knowing where Windsor have been, if anybody follows the excellent historical Twitter and Facebook account, Wearing the Red and Green, who we've spoken to on a number of occasions, Windsor are a club with a big history, and to be bottom of that's really going to hurt. And I don't think me saying what I've just said about it's not that bad, it's all right. They will, whilst Division 1 is no longer kind of half good ground, half park pitches anymore, it's still going to be that will still be a dagger through the heart, and they'll be feeling it, and it's just I really feel for them, but the team has got to turn it around. Mick's got to turn it around and get them back up the table, because Windsor as a football club, and I know this doesn't matter, I know it's about what football is played on the pitch, but Windsor should not be bottom of the Combined Counties League Premier Division North.
No, absolutely not. Well, we'll move away from the step 5 and actually look down at the Combined Counties Division. Combined Counties Division 1, because there was also some midweek action in that division that affected the promotion picture. One big game being postponed, Sandhurst versus Deportivo Galicia. Sandhurst currently 7th with 14 games left to play this season. How they're going to do that without the season being extended, I have no idea. And Deportivo Galicia, top of the division at the moment, so that was going to be a huge game. Sandhurst still, I mean, they're 10 points off top, but as we say, 14 games left to go and 7 in hand over Deportivo Galicia. So, huge number of points to play for. But their delay and their trials and tribulations play into the hands of Berks County, because Berks County won away at Cove 4-0, and that win moves them up into second place, just 1 point behind Deportivo Galicia, with a game in hand over the team above them. Pretty exciting little title race we've got there, Abby.
Yeah, I think as well. So last time we talked about how there's teams who are struggling with like strikers who are in form, whereas Berks County seem to have 3 or 4 who are just hanging in goals for fun, left, right, and centre. So, goals in abundance for them. So it's definitely a really exciting time for them. And I think, another one with a game in hand as well. So, and like a game in hand. They're like, only a game in hand over London Samurais by 1. But there doesn't seem to be much they're doing wrong really right now, and I think Deportivo will probably be like looking over their shoulders really at them at this point. That 1 point difference is not a lot at all. So
no. I feel like a couple of weeks ago, sorry to cut you off, Abby, I feel like a couple of weeks ago we perhaps dismissed Berks County's title credentials as, well, playoffs, because I think they were 5th and it looked like they had a bit of ground to cover. Whereas actually, they could win the division.
Yeah, the title race in this division has been incredible. At one point it looked like it was all about Sandhurst. I mean, they've still got, like I say, loads of games in hand, but at some point those games are going to become, probably at this point, they're going to become a massive burden rather than
It's too many. It's too many.
Yeah, exactly. Playing 3 or 4 times a week is going to be really tough. Then Langley emerged, and we thought it was going to be a title race between those two. Then both of those, Sandhurst had their continued postponements, and Langley maybe dropped a few points here and there, and Deportivo Galicia came through. And all this time, Berks County were in and around the playoffs, looking good for a playoff position. Maybe losing the occasional game, you're thinking, they're not going to make that push on. But now they have, they've taken advantage of the troubles that other teams have had and kept consistent and moved up into that second place. Best goal difference, not best goal, second best goal difference in the league as well. So, looking good with that statistic. And they're Langley are the behind them with 3 points behind them with a game in hand now. But, Berks County, 8 games left to play. That's much more manageable than like we're talking about the 14 or that some teams have to play, or the 13 that West Side have to play, or 11 from Bedford, the other contenders for those positions. So it's looking good for them.
Just to illustrate, and I appreciate this is kind of live reading off the internet, but just to illustrate why I think, because there might be some people from Sandhurst going, well, why can't we do it? Well, and 14 games is 14 games. But I'm just for example, I'm looking at Berks County's fixtures, and they've got a lovely little break from the 29th till the 29th of March till the 4th of April. And then they basically play every 2 to 3 days. They play on the 4th, the 6th, the 8th, the 10th, the 13th, the 15th, the 18th, and then the 22nd. And that's only 8 games. Is it 9 games? 8 games. That's only 8 games. But they've got to fit those in. Sandhurst have got double that. And, I'm looking at that going, Berks County could win the league, but also they're going to have to manage their workload incredibly. There will be unavailability as well. Players just won't be able to, players that work in different places. If it was me and I've been sent off to work in the north of England for a week, I will miss 3 games. I'm saying I'm not playing for Berks County. They're quite good by all accounts. But that's as you said, Rob. That's where Sandhurst's game now become a burden, and you almost you can't write them off from winning the title, but you've got to say it's between Deportivo and Berks County, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Like I say, the season's supposed to finish on the 22nd of April in this. So that's basically just over 3 weeks away, and Sandhurst have got 14 games to fit into just over 3 weeks. It can be extended to the end of April, but currently that is the limit. There's no way you can get any more. But even if it's extended to the end of April, we're talking 4.5 weeks from recording. I'm not sure if Sandhurst have got a game this week. I'm not sure that they have until the weekend. They're playing tonight. They're away at Rising Ballers Kingston. Okay, so they'll hopefully get one more game in tonight, but tomorrow night. Yeah. But,
sorry, I'm cutting you off. The other thing to think about as well is that half of those games are supposed to be home games as well. And that's where their issue is right now. It's just that the pitch is not coping with the amount of football being played on it. So you'd be surprised if you didn't see more postponements.
I mean, it's something historically that's not a surprise.
Yeah, that's why they're looking to put an artificial pitch in there over the summer. But yeah, trouble for Sandhurst Town. I mean, hopefully they can complete all their fixtures in a timely fashion, and they can, if they do, they may well be involved in this title picture. Sorry, but at the moment it looks like it might be a real burden if they're having to play every 2 days essentially to get their fixtures in. So one to keep an eye on, but what a title race in general. That's pretty special. So make sure you keep an eye on the Combined Counties Div 1, and it will be an exciting end to the season. Right, before we go into our break, Abby, we've got some reasonably positive Reading women's news to talk about. A draw at the weekend, and in a game that certainly was must not lose, to come back from 2-0 down and get a 2-2 draw. Reasonably happy with that one?
Yes, I am. I'm just there's lots of talk around being comeback queens. No, I'm not sure. Does it count for a comeback if you still draw?
Sure. Yeah, I think so. Is it in a game like that?
Yeah, I'm not sure how many times we've actually come back this season as well. So yeah, but I mean, if that's the narrative we're going for, then there we go. Although I'm not sure I enjoy many Reading narratives sometimes. I think they're questionable, but that's a whole other topic to discuss. But yeah, I think it's probably quite apt that we're talking about comeback and both goals being scored by Emma Harries, because it is her 21st birthday today. So happy birthday to Emma. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Emma.
2 sensational goals. That second header as well was delightful. Am I entirely happy with that? I feel like we needed those 3 points. The fact that we only got 1 means we're still not quite in the clear. I'm still nervy. So we're still not out the danger zone just yet. So a point is better than none, but I would have liked the 3, to be honest. So yeah. I mean, that's another cliche, isn't it? We're just cliche sentences at the moment. Yeah. Love it.
And to add another one, a big 6-pointer this weekend as you play away at Leicester City. So having said that, going into that game, if Reading avoid defeat, then you've got to be looking reasonably happy. towards the end of the season, and reasonably happy in terms of survival, if that's the goal at this point, which probably is, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think it could be anything but that, to be honest. Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, those 3 points. I actually think as well. So I think it's Everton next as well, and they're on a little bit of a goal drought at the moment. They haven't scored in 5 games. So, or actually, no, they drew 1-1, so they've scored 1 in 5. So I think we need to capitalise on that as well. But then maybe Emma scoring 2 at the weekend is what she needed to get the season going. Although I would have maybe liked it to be a little bit sooner, but. Maybe that was the catalyst, coming back from 2-0 down to score 2 and 2 great goals as well. That's what she needed to get herself going. And now she's just going to bang in 10 for the rest of the season, maybe. Who knows?
There we go. Yeah, so Reading currently 4 points clear of Leicester, who are bottom, and then Brighton sandwiched in between the two. So Reading on 11 points, Brighton on 9, and Leicester on 7. So, like I say, avoid defeat at the weekend. And you're 4 points clear from the drop zone with, what will that be? Another 5 games to go? So
5-6 games.
Yeah, so
not easy after that either.
No, I mean, you can sort of, ratchet down the nerves a little bit if you avoid defeat at the weekend. So a big game for Reading nonetheless. Any further bits and bobs before we go into the break?
Nope, I think that's it from me. My usual dreary discussion of Reading is over for another episode.
Well, hopefully next week you'll have a little bit more to shout about. From your point of view anyway. Good. So that about wraps it up for part 1. Join us again in part 2, where we'll be looking ahead to the weekend's fixtures with one pretty notable one to kick us off there.
Hi, everybody. Talk to you about our sponsors of the podcast. First up, we have the Curious Academy, who provide training, confidence building training, learning for people, for young people, for older people looking to get back into the workplace, earn a bit of confidence, learn some new skills as well. I have done this sponsorship link very terribly today, but there we go. The Curious Academy is based just outside Reading Station, so it's really easy to get to. Go and have a look at their website, Curious Academy. Look it up on Google. They are really, really good. They're really nice people as well, and it is a lovely venue. I've been there a number of times. We are also sponsored by Ticket Pass, who provide an ethical ticketing platform. Ticket Pass are used by a number of clubs in Berkshire to provide ticketing technology and software for our clubs to allow people to purchase their match-going tickets online and other such events. As I say, there are a number of clubs that use Ticket Pass. Football in Berkshire uses Ticket Pass when we sell tickets to our events. It is a really lovely platform. They obviously charge an admin fee for every ticket sold, but 50% of that admin fee goes to a charity of your choice. And there are loads of local charities on there, so you can support anything from a local refugee charity, homeless shelter, food bank, and other sorts of medical-based charities as well. So that is the sponsorship links for today. Over to you, Rob.
Thank you, and welcome back to part 2, where we'll be looking ahead to the weekend's fixtures. And where better to start than a pretty massive game over in Wiltshire. Corsham Town versus Ascot United in the semi-final of the FA Vase. Abby, how you feeling, nerves-wise?
Even you saying that out loud made me nervous already. There's too many emotions. I just can't, it's just crazy. It's whatever happened, we've made club history. So it's exciting. It's nerve-wracking. Yeah, just all the emotions.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been like we've spoken about many times on the pod already. What an incredible run it's been. Ascot being drawn away quite regularly, having to do a lot of travelling. It seems to be a theme with Berkshire sides going well in the Vase, is that we play a lot of away days, and this is no different. Down in Corsham Town, how do you feel about the fixture in general? I mean, the quarterfinals were so close, or every single quarterfinal being decided on penalties. How are you feeling about the opponents? Have you seen much of them yet?
I'll be honest, I've seen nothing of them. We know very little about them, really, generally. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a big one again, just in terms of, so they're expecting a big crowd. I think there's going to be around, 1,200, possibly a little bit more. I'm not sure how they've gone with their capacity, but yeah, and obviously they're the home side, so it's going to be a lot. I think that's going to be a record crowd for them as well. So yeah, it's a lot for our boys to deal with, but another cliche incoming, one game at a time. So yeah, I think last time we talked about FA Vase as well, I talked about how we'd gone into the game having won in the week as well. So I think winning last night is going to put the boys in a good headspace as well. So yeah, that's where we're at really at this point.
So as a bit of context, in case anyone doesn't know, Corsham are Hellenic Premier Division sides. They're currently 4th in the Hellenic Premier. They've got quite a few games in hand over the teams above them, probably due to this FA Vase run. But they're currently on 66 points after 29 games. Cribs are top of the division. The team you beat, was it in this competition or was it in the FA Cup, Abby, earlier in this season?
That was in the FA Cup.
Yeah, it was in the FA Cup. I thought so. So Cribs are leading the way, and they're 22 points ahead of Corsham Town. So perhaps Corsham do have 5 games in hand, but still, I think perhaps chances of automatic promotion to the level above this season might be fading a little bit. And actually, Malvern Town are in second, and they're 17 points ahead of Corsham Town. Again, Corsham have 5 games in hand, so perhaps an outside chance of getting into the playoffs there, the second place playoff. But they won at Mangotsfield United 3-0 at the weekend. They're in good form as well. So it's really hard to pick a winner on this one. You've got to say, by the time you get to this stage of the competition, Tom, it's a toss of a coin almost, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if both semi-finals ended up in penalty shootouts, no one would be surprised, would they?
Could we not?
Well, I mean, look at how many penalty shootouts Binfield went through to get to the final a couple of years ago. Was it 4 or was it 5? There was a lot. It's just when like you already said, Rob, that, once you get to this stage, it's a toss of a coin, isn't it? Really, it's almost like, I hate to say it, one mistake is all it takes. The odd goal here, one bit of magic, one little mistake, something like that. That's all it takes. I mean, do we all want a Berks and Bucks final? That's what we want, isn't it? At Wembley, the entire counties of Berkshire and Buckinghamshire emptying to head across to London, a short hop to London. That's what we all want. We shall see if we get it, I guess. To me, but if you go purely on league position, Ascot are the favourites. Will they do it? I have no idea. I bought a lottery ticket last weekend and I got no numbers. So there we go.
Yeah.
Got nothing more to add.
Mystic Canning is probably not the one to talk to this, but just in case people didn't know, the other semi-final is Congleton Town against Newport Pagnell Town. So the Berks and Bucks final Tom's hoping for is Ascot United versus Newport Pagnell Town. Newport Pagnell being the current holders of the FA Vase as well. Yes. So that would be quite an occasion. But before we look too far ahead, I mean, it's hard to sort of look ahead to the final of these games sometimes because there's such big fixtures and you just don't want to say anything just out of turn or put any, people get superstitious about these things. Or
that's me. I'm so superstitious. I just, people keep telling me about odds and things like that. I'm like, no, don't know what you're talking about. No idea.
Yeah. But it is an incredible achievement just to get to the semi-final. But I mean, I think Ascot certainly have the capability. We're talking about even games here. Ascot certainly have the capability of going to Congleton and winning. They've won away in a lot of the previous rounds, and they've got the squad to do it. So if anyone can, then I'm sure Ascot can. And I'll be in attendance, so I'm looking forward very much to that one.
Are you doing commentary, Rob?
It's not 100% confirmed, but we're hopeful. Yeah, we haven't received approval from Caution yet, so we're hopeful. Hey, Abby.
We are indeed.
Abby's been doing loads of work for us, so thank you very much, Abby, to get this on. So yes, I'd imagine you're having quite a busy week being the media person.
Just a little. All in good stead.
Very good indeed. Well, we'll leave the FA Vase chat there. I'm sure it'll be a big feature of our chat next week when we come back to talk about that. But Abby, there are a few other finals that are actually happening. If people can't make it over to Wiltshire, there's some other action at Ascot that they could get involved in.
Not this weekend, though, sadly, I'm afraid.
I've read the wrong date. Okay, yeah.
No, it's okay. No, but I did just want to highlight that. So Ascot have had the honour, the privilege of hosting 6 Berks and Bucks county finals this season. We're halfway there. We've ticked off 3. So we had the, as I said, the Bill Gosling final on Friday night. Beaconsfield won that. And then we had a double header on Saturday morning and had the Under-12s Youth Cup, which our very own Under-12s youth team sadly lost out to Bracknell Town. But we did have a little bit of victory, so congratulations to our Under-12 girls, Crystals. They took the game to penalties against Didcot Town, which was stressful to watch. Some sensational penalties, though. They could give a few senior men's teams a run for their money, to be honest. So yeah, congratulations to our Crystals. But yeah, so 3 of the 6 complete there, and we're also hosting the men's and women's trophy finals on Sunday, the 23rd of April. That's a double header as well. So we don't know who the final teams are for the men's yet. Well, actually, no. Wendover Legion Adults are one of them, but 116, 116. I don't actually know how you say their name. 116 Exiles FC. They're the current holders. They're still to play Sing Sabaslau. So we're waiting on that. And then women's game follows afterwards, and that's Wargrave versus Ticehurst Panthers. So yeah, there's a little double header there if anybody wants to join us on the 23rd of April. And then the big one, which you mentioned previously earlier, is the men's senior cup final. And that is due to be played on Tuesday, the 9th of May. That will be Bracknell Town and Marlow. So that should be an exciting one. I'm going to do a little bit of a plug for Ascot here. If you head over to our website, all the information for times, admissions, stuff like that is there. I would be very grateful for the clicks. But yeah, so like I said, just very honoured and privileged that Bucks and Bucks have chosen Ascot for so many finals. It's great to have lots of teams who wouldn't normally play at the racecourse joining us.
That's good for the Ascot Football Stories podcast, that. Yeah, lovely.
Very good indeed. Okay, so before we step away, it's probably be good to pick out a few games to watch this weekend. If you're unable to make it down to Wiltshire for the big game coming up, we should probably just look ahead and give a few tips on games that we can watch in and around Berkshire. So, Tom, do you want to kick us off? If you're not able to get down to Caution, which game takes your eye?
Do you know what?
From around here,
I think I am fascinated with how Virginia Water have been doing this season. They are playing at Stag Meadow on Saturday, and they are playing a resurgent Oxy Jets. So I think that might be the one I would go for.
Virginia Water, something we didn't mention in midweek, beating Step 4 side Leatherhead in the Southern quarterfinals of the Southern Combination Cup. So they're got through that after a 2-2 draw through there. So on good form, Virginia Water, and like you say, a nice one to pick out there. Virginia Water, Oxy Jets at Stag Meadow. Abby, what did you pick out one for us?
I think I'm going to go for the Binfield Northwood game.
Yes, big game that. Absolutely. Binfield, a very tricky game. And as we mentioned earlier, Binfield just inside that playoff position now. A win would really consolidate that and help them out. Perhaps Thatcham can help them out when they played Chertsey Town, another one of the teams competing for that playoff position. So 2 big games in the Isthmian League South Central there. And the one I'd pick would be perhaps Hungerford Town versus Bath City. Not quite a local derby, but pretty close. Hungerford sort of 1-2 on the bounce, lost at the weekend to Tonbridge Angels in a 4-3 classic thriller. They're scoring goals now. As we mentioned, we had Robbie on here a few weeks ago, and he was mentioning that Hungerford Town's real problem was they didn't score goals. Well, they're scoring them now, and hopefully they can get another result against Bath City because games are running out for them. They need to turn around the deficit. They're 5 points from safety with, I think it's about 8 games to go. So now or never, really, for Hungerford. So get down to Bullpit Lane and support them against Bath City. Shall we take a look at the Sunday fixtures as well? Anything else that sort of jumps out at you?
I've got one for Sunday, and I was just going to try and confirm this, but it looks like if you head over to Wargrave, you may well get a double header because it looks like there's a 2:00 Wargrave v Haddenham and then a 2:30 Haddenham v Wargrave. I'm not sure if that is correct or whether our fixture computer has accidentally pulled the wrong thing in, or whether the fixture's just been reversed. But it would suggest to me that there is a double header going on down in Wargrave.
I think there's a few teams who have already played double headers in recent weeks. So I think running out of season for lots of women's teams, and there's still quite a few games to play. So I think that is probably more than likely that it is a double header.
It does. Yeah. So yes, I think that's what it looks like. What's the week? What is it? The weekend? It's the second. Yes. Okay. Yeah. The fixture. Oh, that's the result. Right. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Apologies. I was looking at the wrong thing. Shockingly. So yes, it does look like there is a double header going on. So that might well be that. If you want 2 lots of football, we used to do that quite a lot in Sunday League. You'd play sort of an hour. You'd play kind of 2 hours instead of 90 minutes, and you'd split it. You'd cut it in half, and then if you were struggling to get the games in, so that's a good way of doing it, I suppose. Yeah.
Good
does that count as 2 appearances? I presume it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, definitely.
Fixtures,
I definitely played in a double header for SWK, and I got my appearances in for sure.
Good stuff. All right, Abby, have you got another game you want to pick out?
Yes, I am going to head all the way to Division 3 West in the Thames Valley. It's not a headliner as such, but Newbury, who are bottom of the table right now, are playing Thatcham and Newbury Ladies Whites. Thatcham and Newbury Ladies Whites are 7th, and Newbury are 9th, yet to win a game. But they do have a draw to their name, and it was when they played Thatcham and Newbury Whites earlier on in the season. So I reckon they're probably thinking they could do a number on them and finally get some points on the board. Well, they've got a point on the board, but I think they probably think we could get a win out of that potentially, because they'll be looking to avoid relegation possibly. Although I think it's probably more than likely they're swiftly running out of games. But yeah, I think that might be a feisty one, that one. So yeah, I'm heading to the bottom of the table of Division 3 West in the Thames Valley.
Very good indeed. Well, I will just pick out perhaps the team we should have mentioned more recently because they're league champions. Wallingford and Crowmarsh Ladies are playing at home to Somerton Stars AFC Ladies. Wallingford and Crowmarsh have secured the division titles. They are the Thames Valley Counties Women's Football League Division 3 West champions for this season. And they still have 2 more games to play, and one of them is at home to Somerton Stars this weekend. So if you want to go see a championship-winning side, you can get down to Wallingford and Crowmarsh on Sunday. Right, any other business, lady and gent, before we wrap this up?
No, just up the yellows.
Up the yellows indeed, yeah. Blank faces looking back, up the yellows. You can tell the nerves are already affecting us on the podcast. So you can only imagine what it's going to be like come 5-3 on Saturday. It's going to be a big weekend. So we will leave you to look forward to that. We will also say for any of our content, you can catch us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram that I've never been on, and you can just go to www.footballinberkshire.co.uk for all our content there. Anything I missed out there, Tom? You're looking at me like with a glint in your eyes.
No, I just enjoy you going through a list of things that you don't quite understand. You age yourself every time. All I will say is that some of those channels get updated more often than others.
I age myself. How dare you? I understand them all. I just choose not to engage with someone.
Oh, it's an act. I see.
Yes. I got my finger on the pulse. Don't worry. But anyway, we'll leave you there. Thank you very much for listening. And all that's left to say is thank you very much to Tom Canning for joining me.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much to Abby Ticehurst.
Thanks for having me.
And we will speak to you next week. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.